Hello everyone, welcome to your collective full moon in Pisces reading that's going to be happening on Tuesday, September 1st at 10:22 p.m. PST. So I want to go ahead and talk about some of the astrological placements before we get into the intuitively picked crystals as well as the reading for this full moon. So the first thing I want to talk about is that we actually have a grand earth trine, including Uranus that's in Taurus right now, the Uranus retrograde, the Virgo sun, and then also our Capricorn that's in Jupiter retrograde as well. A grand earth trine is a very positive thing to show up when looking at aspects. It is pretty much like three really great trines, and then all the energies of these kind of combined together. So if we were to look at this with Uranus and Taurus kind of helping us uproot things that don't serve us and helping us see what we really want to have in our lives, what we really value, like really anchoring onto that, paired up with the sun that's in Virgo right now, that's going to help us get more detail oriented with it. We're going to be able to integrate it into a routine for ourselves. And then with having the Pluto that's in retrograde right now in Capricorn, with the wanting to create structures, it's almost going to create this expansive energy where we are using the detail oriented aspects as well as the uprooting aspects and anchoring down what is going to serve us and really expanding on that and standing in our truth with it. And then we also have multiple what are called mystic rectangles right now, which are also positive aspects that are connecting the transits that are currently in Pisces, Cancer, Capricorn, and Virgo. So with Pisces, the full moon's in Pisces, and that's always opposing the sun. When we have a full moon, the moon opposes the sun in the exact degree. So with Neptune being in Pisces and creating all these mystic rectangles to the big three in Capricorn right now, the Saturn retrograde, the Pluto retrograde, the Jupiter retrograde, there are some very harmonious aspects going between Neptune and those planets. So all of this uprooting that we're doing in this transformation is almost getting this cushion in the fact that we're starting to align with our dreams and our soul. And it's kind of giving this feel of finally being a little calmer and being a little more in tune with our intuition and with healing and being able to love ourselves through this. It might be a little hard to keep digging because with this aspect, it's almost like you kind of want to stay in the dreamy phase where it feels nice. And you don't really want to keep diving further, but your intuition's going to tap in and keep making you dig more, which might cause a little bit of a tug of war with your emotions and make you feel kind of confused. If that happens, really rely on the steady earth energy of both Mercury, which is in Virgo, and then the big three that are in Capricorn, because our communication is going to be very succinct and to the point, and we're probably going to think out what we're wanting to say before we talk. Like, we can put it into analytical terms, and even though that's opposing the moon, it's almost like you can use that to help with what's happening with the moon, because if you're able to communicate how you're feeling, it'll help relieve some of the tension that's being brought up by even more things you need to heal right now. And coming back to how the mystic rectangle keeps kind of going around, there is the sextile between Mercury and Venus, which, like I was saying, Mercury's in Virgo right now, and Venus is in Cancer. Now, with these two having a sextile, it's almost like we are learning how to make beautiful communication out of the emotions. It's almost making me think of like creativity, like poetry and art to express ourselves. And it's like our intuition's kind of coming through, and we might be getting messages as well that are coming through, and it's making us creative. Even if like you're not usually creative, you might be wanting to create things, and well, it's because it's being given to us right now. And it's the same thing with the rest of the mystic rectangle, where Venus is actually trining Neptune. So that dreamy feeling that, you know, things are starting to fall into place is giving us a sense of value, and it's making us value our emotions and what we love about ourselves. And it's also bringing this sense of security and nurturing and pretty much everything we need to give ourselves so that we can continue to finish the healing and the uprooting that needs to happen, so that way we can make this new foundation on our actual dreams. Because we're really getting to the point where if we're not really pushing for what we want, it's gonna get buried again, because there's still all the squares between Mars and the big three I was telling you about, with all the retrogrades up there in Capricorn. It's really trying to push us to do this, and it's hard to push through something like this when there's healing, and you can't force healing. And also, this is in the shadow period before Mars is going to go retrograde and start a whole thing with making us feel sluggish and making us feel tired, even though we're still really trying to fight through all these feelings and moving forward, and the healing and the new grounding. It's like everything is just kind of fighting with those, because the reason we're all growing so rapidly right now is all of these lessons being brought to us by Saturn that are making us transform by really digging in and doing the work. And Jupiter's not letting anybody get away with not doing it. If you're choosing not to do it, then there's going to be a lot of things that are shown to you that aren't really savory, and it's going to make it hard to have the drive to do the healing when you're not able to see the value in what you're doing, that you don't see any security in what you're trying to do. So when you're falling on that path, remember there's so much here that wants to help you. When you're feeling like your emotions are too overwhelming and too much is being brought to you, remember that this new thing, this uprooting that's happening, you can apply it to how you deal with emotions as well. It's not only anchored to what already physically exists or spiritually exists, it's emotional too, which is what this moon is trying to show us. Like, use what we're learning and what we value in ourselves to approach how we talk to ourselves differently. And it's almost like talk yourself into believing in your dreams. If you're really struggling with it, really try to change how you communicate with yourself around. And let this moon kind of bring a feeling to you that maybe you felt was too far-fetched. So now that I've gone over some of the transits as well as the kind of channel thing that came through with that, I'm going to go ahead and read the intuitive crystals that were picked. So we have our first one here. This is Lemurian Frosted Quartz. So this teaches oneness, reminding us that while we are all individuals, we are also connected to each other and equal in spirit. It helps maintain connection to spirit, aiding spiritual evolution, and can be used in dream work. It clears and activates all the chakras, and it helps in healing and assists in removing energy blockages. It reduces stress and tension, emotional healing, and promotes peace, joy, and friendship. So the next one I want to show you guys is, this is dendritic agate, or otherwise known as tree agate. You can see the little druzy. But this right here is often called the stone of plenitude. It is associated with abundance, prosperity, and growth, but not just in the monetary way. And it helps enhance in every area of your life. So it boosts self-confidence and perseverance, and as well it can transform negative energies that are both in the environment and in yourself into positive energies. And then we have Black Moonstone. So it brings deep emotions that we've buried inside to the surface so that you can finally face them. It's known as the stone of the dark goddess. Oops, sorry. It's like doing the fuzz out. Known as the stone as the dark goddess, and it has a really amazing grounding energy to it. It's also said that it brings in the grandmother moon goddess energy that connects with the maiden mother energy, which is protecting and nurturing. That actually really reminds me of the maiden, the mother, and the crone type energy with feminine. So it's almost like it's bringing in the crone energy and those energies together to make like a really well-rounded, well-rounded, I just really like this stone, a really well-rounded feeling of just being grounded and in the moment, and being able to link to your intuition in a way that really opens you to the possibilities, that when you nurture your own spirit, you continually grow. And the last one that I want to talk to you guys about is jade. So this is a protective stone, and it keeps the wearer from harm and brings harmony. It attracts good luck and friendship. It stabilizes the personality and promotes self-sufficiency. It soothes the mind, releasing negative thoughts. So, now that we've done those, let's go ahead and get to our reading. So, the first message I want to pull for you guys is kind of the theme or main energy or message that is going to come through for this full moon in Pisces. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff coming out from this card. So one thing that's really sticking out for me is in this card we have the number 40 that reduces to 4 in numerology, which is representative of foundation and stability and pretty much like creating protection, which is reminding me of how all this earth energy is trying to bring that in for us right now with all these planetary alignments just linking with each other like they are. But with this card, it also speaks of the secret, which reminds me of the Neptunian energy that we're feeling with Neptune in retrograde, but also the emotion and intuition we're feeling with this full moon. And since both of them being in Pisces, with the unknown, the mysteries, and the wonders that we'll be experiencing, it's almost like a lot of us who are really in the space where we're open and ready to receive are going to be receiving a lot at this full moon. And it's also going to open us up to being able to kind of pull the veil back finally. That's been kind of hanging over our eyes, at least enough to see that what we dream that we want to do is something we can accomplish. So the next thing I want to pull for everyone is what we can look to manifest or focus on during this full moon, depending on what you like to do during the full moon. Whether it's rituals or self-care, meditation, just going out and looking at it. So let's see what we should either choose to manifest or focus on at this time of the full moon in Pisces. Okay, so the first thing before I even start this, with seeing some of these reversals pop up, I really feel like you are easily going to manifest what you are not only thinking, but what you're feeling at this time, especially with all this Pisces energy. Really honor yourself with your thoughts. If you choose to think in a way that only promotes negativity within yourself, this is what you're going to generate without you even wanting to. One thing that came up in this, which is oddly connects to some of the crystals that I read, and it's the one that's upright, is with a steady mind, I am connected to our collective experience. And this is a very connective, if I was just looking at the chart itself, everything was very connected, and a lot of it is very positive. It's just if we let the negative side of our emotions come into play and take over what we're doing, then we're going to stunt our growth at this time instead of going within. Now, what it's warning against you manifesting, like I was saying, is I craft my core desires with certainty and ease. Now, it's like I was saying before I started reading them. If you don't believe you can do what you really want to do, and you're repeating that to yourself and you're making it almost your truth, then what's going to happen is it's going to block you off. Like, I keep feeling like solar plexus energy. The confidence won't be there. You'll just block yourself off. You won't be certain you can do anything. It'll stress you out if you try, and nothing you do will be good enough. And that will be you leaning more into the negative aspects of Virgo, because they're very nitpicky, kind of like tear down, and not in the way you rebuild energy, but literally like just tear down your own confidence energy. And you can begin doing this to other people, especially since Mercury is going to be in Virgo, which means you'll be communicating the way you're feeling. And this right here is really just, once again, putting the fact here that you need to trust the mysteries of life, because it's like the main theme of this moon is there's going to be a lot of mysteries coming up, but what is important is surrendering to them and knowing that everything's happening in a time it's supposed to. You're going to get to see a little bit of what's going to happen, but you're not going to see everything. We're not meant to see everything, otherwise it kind of takes the free will and the spirit and the surprise out of life, as well as the learning. And then the last one is, with focus and intention, I can shape energy in any direction. It's like, it really is like warning, like, focus on your individuality and what you bring to everything as a whole, and really tap into that energy, because any negative focus you choose at this time will become like a pinpoint detailed thing where your mind will spin it and it will manifest it. So it's pretty much just a warning of really watch your thoughts at this time. It's almost like making your dreams reality, but if your dreams are nightmares, you're going to make those reality. So, not to scare anyone by any means, but it's just saying, like, keep yourself in a space where you know you're doing what you can do and you're proud of what you're doing, as opposed to looking at what you haven't done or what you could have done. So that way you're in a calmer space and you're able to, when these emotions arise, approach them from a place that soothes you instead of gives you anxiety. Also, nature is very important at this time. So finding your connection to nature will really ground you, and if you're feeling any of these energies are too overwhelming with all the planetary movement we have that's just in Earth right now, like being able to go in and tap into those energies would actually pull you down out of the space where you can kind of start getting extremely confused over what you're feeling. So the next thing I want to focus on for you guys is opportunities and challenges that this moon's going to be bringing us. Okay, so the first thing we have here is the Knight of Swords. Now, with this air energy and it being in reverse, it is once again, I think it's this reading and the guides, universe, everyone is really trying to get it through our heads that one of the main challenges here is going to be our own thoughts and the way we're communicating with others. It's either going to really push us ahead or it's going to really hinder us in big ways, because this right here is what I was talking about. Literally, it has it on the card, is the Virgo and Mercury as the Ten of Coins. So using this energy of Mercury being in Virgo to our advantage and communicating effectively is really going to bring in abundance right now. And this is going to show in our physical reality. We need to be able to use the detail-oriented nature of Virgo, the humble, the grateful nature of Virgo, to communicate with, so that way we can bring in what we really want. Otherwise, if we're falling more into the energy of how right now Mars is squaring all of those 3 planets I was talking about in Capricorn, it's going to create a lot of feeling like you can't trust others, like you want to do everything by yourself. And some things you may need to do by yourself very well, But this also is a time for coming together and really realizing that it's the communication and the community that is going to help spear this along, because this is about connecting to one another. This moon isn't about going off by yourself. This is about feeling the connection with everyone and where your place is individually with everyone, adding to everything. So if you go more with the aspect where it's squaring those and you're neglecting the transformation, you're fighting the breaking down these old things that aren't serving you anymore, what's going to happen is you're going to push away potentially really good people or even your soul family at this time if you aren't ready for them. And then it also really wants to bring up Jupiter, which is retrograde. Like, these are reverse, talking about the things that could be going wrong with these retrograde planets, which is ironic. But with Jupiter retrograde in Capricorn, which is this down here at the bottom, and the Two of Coins being reversed, if you are not acting on these energies that are going to help you ground the energy of Jupiter right now, you're going to become very unbalanced, because what you do with this Jupiter energy expands. It's a very expansive energy, even though it's kind of restricted by it being in retrograde and being in Capricorn. It might feel a little restricting. It's still building. Think of it as slow momentum that's just building up this huge, like almost like this golden energy that once this goes direct is going to be like a boon. And you really need to be working with this energy. You need to be doing the healing. You need to be creating the community and the care for yourself and the nurturing yourself and seeing the beauty of yourself and your soul and creating and expanding as a person, or you're gonna be even more off kilter once this comes around. And then we have the Nine of Wands, and this is speaking of it's almost like there's a lot of burdens, and this is considering the moon, which is going to be in Pisces, and Sagittarius, which holds our current south node right now. There's probably going to be a lot of healing being brought up for some of you with past lives, since the south node does represent past lives. It also is the karma we've brought with us, the talents we've brought with us. So during this moon being heightened in Pisces is kind of like the veil in between. At its thinnest, you're going to be able to have insight into exactly what you need to heal. You're going to probably get insight into talents you didn't even know you had, which is where this creativity comes in. And then also probably heightened intuition over what doesn't belong in your life, because wands are a very spiritual energy, as well as a very movement oriented energy. And what this is wanting you to move towards is healing what is holding you back, because if you choose to ignore it, you're going to fall in these energies. But if you actually do this work that's being brought to you pretty much on like a platter, saying like, look, this is showing you what you need to do, and this is giving you the boost you need. Yeah, it's going to be hard work, and you're going to need to move through the mud with it. But it's going to be worth it, because you'll be creating what is needed when you step out of what you're creating mentally. So the next thing I want to pull for you guys is some energies that are going to be going around during this full moon. These can be either energies that are going to be helpful to us, that we can really pull on, or they're going to be energies where we kind of want to try to avoid them to the best of our abilities, or at least manage them the best we can so that they don't push away these opportunities and what we really want to manifest at this time. So, with everything that's coming to us right now, this is really warning of those energies where we can get very heated, especially since Mars is coming into play right now with squaring off against the moon, with this energy coming up. And when you see grand crosses, this in a chart is typically very challenging when you have these, but overcoming a grand cross brings really great power. That's why they're so hard to overcome. This, if we can follow our intuition and what we're being guided to do, we're going to be able to overcome some hurdles we were never able to in the past. And it's going to bring us not only a healing, but a power we never knew we had either. For everyone, it'll be different, because with this right here, we have a 4 and a 7, which is an 11, a master number in numerology, which is very spiritual. But the numbers making the 11 are the 4, which I talked about with our beginning message with the secret, which is foundation and building security. And the 7 is of the individual, going within yourself, kind of like the Hermit energy, the Virgo energy. So it's pretty much relaying right back to creating the foundation using this Virgo energy. So that way you can overcome what's being given to you right now to become an even more adapted and well-rounded and upgraded version of yourself. Now, the 6th house routine is ruled by Virgo. And like I was saying before, with both the Sun and Mercury in Virgo, with the aspects coming to those, our routine is changing. We're being uprooted. We are learning new ways of going about our daily lives. And we're also really needing to learn how to update old feelings about ourselves. It's almost like we have to give ourselves a software update, because what was working in the past isn't working now. And our new routine needs to be where we're building ourselves up and nurturing ourselves as opposed to tearing ourselves down. because here we have, again, fours are coming up a lot, so I think the number 4 is actually going to be very important right now. But with Venus and love, there are some harsh aspects to Venus being in Cancer right now, but there's also some very good ones. So we need to really tap into the love aspect as opposed to the aspect where we're shutting ourselves down because we feel that people can't understand us. Sometimes stepping back from a situation and breathing a little bit and becoming a little more analytical, which is the Virgo energy, which is sextile the Cancer Venus, that is speaking of this love. It's like you can build the foundation for love with yourself, but then also use the communication of Mercury in Virgo to be able to express that, like express that you're working on yourself, because this won't be easy. It's going to be a lot of hard work. It's going to be healing because you're creating a strong foundation of new love. This isn't going to be this old love where you weren't kind to yourself and you were allowing others to not be kind to you and you didn't surround yourself with what you felt you deserved. This is going to be a new foundation you're creating. You're breaking the old one so that way you can bring in what you deserve with this 10 of Pentacles right here. And then we have the second house, which is owning, which is ruled by Taurus. This is going back to the Uranus energy where Taurus is retrograde right now. We are having to own up to what others have made us feel we should value and what it is in our heart that we value. Because with this being in a trine with the sun that's in Virgo right now, it's making us really kind of go on this self-discovery journey and realize that in our heart what we're in its exact degree at 10 too, which is when it reduces to 1, it gives this need for the self. And by focusing on this individual need to uproot what was old value systems placed on you and bring in the beauty and the beliefs and the joy in experiencing the 5 senses and not feeling guilty of surrounding yourself with what you consider luxury, you are able to explore parts of your soul you've shut off. This will help you live in your authentic truth by breaking these down and creating these solid foundations and bringing what's in your heart to the surface and expressing it. So the last thing I want to pull for you guys is the advice for this full moon in Pisces. I think this about sums it up. So, the advice for this moon is to really be grateful. Be grateful for everything you have. Know that, as it kept coming up throughout this whole reading, that there's mystery, and the mystery is there to keep the excitement alive. Even though some of the veil's gonna be pulled back and we're gonna be able to experience some new things, don't get greedy. Be content with what you're given and be grateful for it. And don't shut people out that are coming to you from a place of love. Of course, if something is toxic, don't keep that in your life. But right now, what's coming to us mainly is working on ourselves and being connected with others, working on our own thoughts that we repeat to ourselves daily, and changing those, and changing our routine and how we love and speak to ourselves so that we attract the mysteries that are beautiful, and we're grateful for what we get, and we attract our soul family. So find the beauty in the unknown and the excitement, and be happy in the moment. And that's what this is all about. So if you guys would like personal readings, I offer those on my Facebook page, and I'll have that linked in the description box below. I do both astrology as well as tarot, and I also have some contests going on there as well if you want to look at those. So I'm wishing all of you a beautiful full moon, and I'll see you again soon.